In Georgia, the Democratic Party is invoking Ferguson in a new Get Out the Vote campaign. In fact, a flyer distributed by the group features an image of two young black children holding signs that read, "Don't shoot." It reads, quote, "If you want to prevent another Ferguson in their future." The next page reads, "Vote. It's up to you to make change happen." In a statement, the party says, quote, "Our state and our democracy is stronger when more people participate, and we have seen what happens in places like Ferguson, Missouri, when voices are silent. We must make sure to exercise our right to vote." And Georgia's Senate race remains one of the most high profiles this election cycle, with recent polls showing Republican David Perdue leading Democrat Michelle Nunn by less than a point. And the state's governor's race is also among the closest, with candidates separated by about 2 percentage points in polling right now. While none of the candidates have spoken out yet about these flyers so far, it is drawing criticism from conservative websites like Hot Air, which accuse Georgia's Democratic Party of, quote, "tossing a racial grenade." And joining me now is Georgia State Senator Democrat Vincent Fort. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
First, let me get your reaction to the conservative site calling this a racial grenade, that you've tossed a racial grenade into these races.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that they would sensationalize the situation, but they need to take a deep breath, because this message, the message in this flyer, is as American as apple pie. The message is, if you want change, if you want to improve your community, you have to be engaged in your community. And in particular, you have to vote. So the message of voter participation is, I think, a very American message. And I think those who are criticizing it are in turn trying to create a situation where their voter turnout will increase. But I think this is a mailer that is within the bounds of what ought to be done.
I mean, I know you mentioned that particular website sensationalized what some might say when you look at the image, for example, that you're bringing in this case that's not been resolved with certainly some serious concerns, and using the imagery, using the pain, and using the faces of these children to get out the vote, because these races are so tight that you're going emotion rather than some real policy changes that could be discussed here.
Well, I think if you read the flyer, it says that the situation of Ferguson is unfair. A 2/3 African-American community. The city council is more than 80% white. The police force is 95% white. That's the reality. It's not a distortion. And the message is, if you want to change situations like that, because we have some serious problems here in Georgia, if you want to change, you have to get out and vote. I don't find that offensive. I think it affirms a very American message of civic engagement.
Nationwide, African-American vote turnout in 2012. African-Americans voted at a higher rate than whites for the first time in history. 66.2% of eligible black voters voted in 2012, opposed to 64.1% of white voters there. We also have some of the numbers for the Georgia turnout. But back to the question regarding policies, if you have a higher voter turnout amongst African Americans, what policies, for example, are you discussing that would prevent a Ferguson?
Well, for example, here in Georgia, we had in Habersham County earlier this year a police raid, a no-knock police raid that went very bad. Baby Boo Boo was hit by a grenade in that situation. We need to do something about the use of no-knock warrants in militarization of the police, just like that what's going on in Ferguson. So that's a policy change that if we had a new governor, if we had a new set of elected officials in office, we'd pursue those policy changes. And that's why I think this mailer is appropriate. If you want change, if you want to prevent things like what happened in Habersham County here in Georgia, then you have to go vote. And that's why I think this mailer is very, very important, not just for African Americans, but trying to get people of goodwill across the state to go out and vote on November 4th.
All right, State Senator, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate you joining us for this discussion.